Back in 1994, the British Touring Car Championship was very much as popular as ever, with a whopping 10 manufacturers fielding factory entries. Reigning champions BMW were back to defend their crown, with series regulars Vauxhall, Ford, Renault, Peugeot, Toyota, Nissan or Mazda also returning. New entries came from Italy with Alfa Romeo entering the controversial 155 Silverstone, and from Sweden with Volvo running an 850 model. Now, the Swedes didn't particularly have a sporty image, but they did in fact race back in the mid-80s with the mighty Group A 240 Turbo, winning titles in the ETCC and the precursor to the DTM. For their return to top-line international motorsports, they decided to surprise everyone and entered an estate version of the 850, a pretty unconventional choice to say the least. This of course led to the car getting a lot of media attention when presented to the public. Most other teams thought Volvo was joking or just using it as a publicity stunt, but they were as serious as can be. The fact that they linked up with TWR, Tom Walkinshaw Racing, a big name with Le Mans wins with Jaguar or Spa 24 Hours wins with Jaguar again and Mazda, just underlined how serious they took this project. The driver lineup also reflected this, with TWR managing to convince ex-Formula 1 veteran and former Le Mans winner Dutchman Jan Lammers to lead the team. He would be paired up by young Swedish tin-top convert Rickard Rudell. The 850 estate quickly gained a cult following and sporadically showed flashes of promise during the 1994 campaign. A pair of 5th places for Rudell and Lammers would prove to be the team's best result, with Volvo finishing the year in 8th place out of 10 in the Manufacturers' Championship. The next season the team switched to the more conventional 4-door saloon body shape, and that car was much more competitive, winning some races and moving up to 3rd in the Manufacturers. Volvo became a front-running outfit in the following years, finally winning the driver's title in 1998 with Rickard Rudell, now having switched to the S40 model. The manufacturer's crown though eluded the Swedes during their stint in the BTCC. After the 1999 season, a lot of manufacturers pulled out of the series due to spiraling costs, with Volvo being one of them. Although the 850 estate was only used for a single season by Volvo, it's still the most iconic one of them all and stands as a symbol to the make's stint in the BTCC, arguably even more so than the championship-winning S40. For all this time I was hoping someone would finally make a model car version of this iconic Volvo. There have been some very nice 143 scale models from HPI and Minichamps, and I also have a 164 scale Tarmac Works version, but never has anyone tried making one in my preferred scale 118. Auto was one of the brands that finally announced they would make a 118th version of both the 1994 and 1995 BTCC Volvos. They first released the 1995 car, the one with the saloon car body, in 2011. That model looked fantastic and the anticipation was sky high for the 1994 estate car after that. For some reason, and to a lot of collectors' disappointment, Auto however cancelled the estate model not long thereafter. I still don't know why this is the case. They could have even used the body of the street version of the 850 T5R estate they already produced as a base for the BTCC model, but yeah. They even had a product code already lined up for this version, number 89494. Luckily then, all these years later, another brand, Otto or Otto Mobiles, did pick up this project again, and the French company have produced a limited run of the 850 estate BTCC car. As expected, it was quite a popular release, and they have now all sold out. It's not the first time Otto have released a BTCC related product, having produced 2 Renault Lagunas, or the Peugeot's 405 and 406 models from the Super Tourers heyday from the mid-90s. All their models are resin-sealed versions, unlike the Auto Arts that are die-cast metal and feature opening parts. This is also reflected in the price, as the Auto Art was more expensive at around 120-150 euro mark back in 2011, mind you, with the Otto model costing a very affordable 69 euro from Otto's own webshop. Of course, I was on it right away, and here it finally is, a 118th model of one of my favorite race cars ever. The box the model comes in then is nothing too special really. It's just the standard glossy white cardboard box with the full Otto logos on it and the brand's URL. On this side flap then there is just a simple sticker with a picture of the model car that is set inside and the barcode on it too. The car itself then sits in a styrofoam clamshell with a piece of sort of plasticky paper covering it, and the model is screwed in tightly. A fine antenna is packaged separately in a small plastic pouch, together with some spare decals it seems. So presentation wise, the packaging is nothing special, as I said. This is the sort of packaging Otto uses for all their releases. The model itself then feels quite sturdy. As I mentioned, it's a sealed model, so it has no opening parts. The wheels also don't rotate, and they are quite firmly stuck inside of the wheel wells too. And so that previous point takes me straight away to one of the biggest issues on this car. The wheels on the model are frankly disastrous, I'll just say it as it is. No wonder the wheels barely fit into the wheel wells, they're quite a bit too large for this car. The tires too then are not good at all. For starters, the sidewalls are too big as well, and this in turn also affects the ride height on this model. It's basically way too high up because of the big wheels that can't go any further into the wheel wells. The tires then also feature Dunlop branding, which is not correct. These ones here are clearly based on recent pictures from the car, where it has modern show tires more akin to the ones they use in the series nowadays. Back then the tires usually didn't have any branding on them, or at times that it did, it was with very different style logos. You might have noticed that so far I've only used stock pictures of this model for this segment, and that's because on the model that I have here, I've already done some slight modifications on the wheels and tires, so I couldn't show my, improved version to make my point on the wheels. Now, I wish I could say that the issues would stop there, but there are in fact more mistakes that are also pretty obvious. One of them is the shades of blue used for the livery. They are much too dark, unfortunately. These lightest parts here are far from the typical baby blue that makes this livery so iconic. All over my model then there are also some tiny nicks in the decals, and it's nothing too serious, but it's a bit of a shame that it came out of the packaging like this. A few sloppy bits in the paintwork, like here on the hood grille, where the blue is seeping through into the white parts, also shouldn't happen, I think. My model also had a missing hood clamp decal too, which is a real shame, and I actually only saw this while making this video, so I'm glad I actually noticed this now. Then there is also the shape of the car. The model's Estate rear body shape somehow looks like it's bent a bit, as if it's sloping down again towards the back. This car was famously very boxy, so here again it's a shame they didn't reproduce it fully the way the car looked in real life. This was to be expected though, as Otto's road-going version of the 850 Estate also suffered from the same problem, although on that version it was a bit hidden by the roof racks and the rear spoiler, of course. Finally then, the interior is also a letdown. The steering wheel, for instance, looks comically big. This roll cage bar here on the passenger side was actually loose as well on my model. It was not connected to the top structure, and it's not that it came loose, it was actually mounted too far down so it couldn't reach the top of the cage. When I disassembled the model to modify the wheels, I did manage to rectify this issue. In the trunk then, this black bar running across in between the wheel arches is also a poorly executed part. Even the 164 model that I have has a real separate piece for it, not this colored in cheap looking recreation of it. I also quickly wanted to mention, not that it's a real flaw or anything, but I would have loved to have had the opportunity to choose in between a Lammers or Rudel, or Rydell if you will, version of the car. I don't have anything against Jan Lammers, far from it, but I would have much more preferred to have a Rydell model. One solution could have been like VAC 83 have done on this 1/64 scale BMW BTCC model. This is being sold as a Winkelhock version, but they actually have added a small decal sheet underneath the base to convert it to a Steve Soper model. I mean, that's really clever. So as I mentioned, I tried modifying the wheels somewhat, hoping it would make the model look slightly better. The work done on it was quite intensive and even included hollowing out the wheel wells so the car could sit lower down. The front wheels also needed smaller spaces on them too, so the wheels would not stick out that much anymore. I'm much happier with the mods that I've done and how the model looks now though. The stance is better with the lower ride heights and the wheels are more tucked into the wheel arches. Of course, I couldn't do anything about the size of the wheels and tires, but I did remove the wrong Dunlop branding and added the handwritten tire markings, and having the tires like this also improves the look, I think. So the best thing about this model is actually simply its sheer existence. The price too is very fair, or should I say was, as they've all sold out in the meantime, and at the moment of writing this review they all go for highly inflated prices on the likes of eBay. For the original retail price of €69, you could say it's a good enough model, even with all its flaws. It still has some nice details here and there too, like the grille, the light lenses on the front and also on the back, this red tow hook at the front here, the fine antenna on the roof, or the photo etched look decals. I also really like the style of mirrors they used, and you can see on this iconic picture that they are in fact correct, and they didn't blindly use the same style mirrors from the road-going counterpart, for instance. Looking past the wheels then, literally this time, the brake detailing is also not too bad, with a visible metallic brake disc and the copper-colored Brembo calipers at the front. The seat belts then are also very good, with them being real cloth ones that are actually attached to the roll cage behind the driver's seat. Since I have this wind tunnel now, we can also test how much of a brick this wagon really is. The Volvo team claimed they stuck with the Estate body shape since it had better aerodynamic properties, but of course we all know too well it was much more commercially driven than anything else. And as we can see, it doesn't exactly look as if this Volvo 850 Estate is splitting the smoke trails as if it's a hot knife through butter, but okay, this was to be expected of course. So this model is really confusing to say the least. Let's face it, it's riddled with issues, and these aren't like tiny ones that you can only see when looking at it in detail. These flaws are staring you in the face. From the big wheels, the wrong shades of blue on the car's livery, or its too much rounded off shape, Otto really dropped the ball here. This car is very much an icon of motorsports, and it surely has a cult following, me included. Otto was seen as the savior who picked us back up where auto art so cruelly dropped us all these years ago, but I'm now not so sure if we should actually be so happy about that. With all that being said, I'll probably hold on to mine for the foreseeable future. Am I happy that someone finally made this model? Yes, of course. Will I get rid of it the minute someone makes a better version of it, for which, let's face it, Otto set the bar really low? Well, undoubtedly. So this concludes my review of this Otto Volvo 850 BTCC Estate model car. Thanks a lot for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the other content on the channel too, like this video of another weird touring car, the Peugeot 806 People Carrier Racer by Spark. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you again in the next one.